Ladies and gentlemen, Monir Azzouzi, who, when I spoke with him years ago, was in transition and he was figuring out how much time should he spend on his podcast and clients, and he has many children to support. And look at him now.
I'm still here.
You're still here. You've got your fake background. You produce lots and lots of content, and you have such a following now. And I'm grateful for you spending some of your time with us today. What are you going to teach us?
Yeah. So as I said, so this is experience or education content related to what I get also with my some of my customers, and we have some discussion about some of those topics. And I said, okay, maybe let's share that also with the group, and maybe I get also some feedback from you as maybe you are also experiencing that, or can maybe provide some suggestions. So the idea was to talk about quality for non-quality departments, because we always think that quality is for only the quality departments, and maybe there is something that that can be shared here. Can I share my screen?
Of course.
Because I tried to. Okay, that's fine. This one here. So I just prepared just a small thing for just following the discussion that that we are doing here. Let me do that here and here. Okay. So the idea mainly is to talk about some situation and cases, and then I need also your advice or your thinking about that. So the first idea is about talking about documentation creation, problems that are happening within companies, metrics, or change control. The first is about who owns the documents that are created within a quality management system, because we are a bit struggling sometimes with some companies that are thinking that those documents are belonging to quality, when normally they are not. They are belonging to some people the people that are, if I can say, using them. So I wanted just to get maybe your feeling on that. So the idea is to say, for example, that when we have some creation of procedures or forms, the idea is to say that first, the one that is in charge of those product documents or whatever is the process owner. This process owner can be supported by the quality department on what they have to do. And the case is mainly that, for example, we have a R&D department, a research and development department, and they ask us, can you create me my procedure for doing my activities? The idea is to say that I cannot, because I have no clue what you are using of methodology. Is it waterfall or agile? What is that also? How is it working? How many gates do you have on your design phase? Which information is important to gather for you in terms of the formulas to get everything, etc. So the idea is also to say, I know that, yeah, quality, if I can say, is the one that is normally in charge of quality management system, but we are in charge more of putting in place, if I can say, a structure, architecture, and environment, but you have to fill those information that are inside on what you are doing. So many it's write what you do and then do what you write. So many this is the idea also. We are also here to support and quality to review if what you are mentioning makes sense, if really there is some content and here there is some value, and that really makes sense, and also help you to answer a question. So the idea here is just to re-emphasize that as soon as you are in charge of a department like logistic or manufacturing or whatever, we don't know how you are doing certain activities, and the idea is for you to write that down and to explain and to then share with your colleagues how you are doing that. And mainly the idea is also to say what you are doing, write it, and then do what you are writing. But I have also seen some quality departments, because let's say also quality is making sometimes some mistakes. Some quality departments that are say, okay, let me create your procedures, and they create the procedure with a lot of restriction, a lot of things that those companies are not doing at all. But quality thinks that because I wrote it on the procedure, then the people will follow that and will do what I'm telling them to do inside the documentation. So just for this case, so do you have, I mean, is this something like a deja vu or something like you heard about, or there was maybe some situation that you get about that?
Yeah, Monir, I completely agree with this. Us as a company, we're experiencing something similar with some clients that want to, international manufacturers that want to open operations in Mexico, and they try to copy and paste their quality system in the new entity that they're opening in Mexico. And the processes don't match the reality of the operation in Mexico. So they believe that it's just a copy and paste of the quality management system, the SOPs. But in reality, what we try to tell them is like, how many people are you going to hire? Who are these people? What departments are they in? And they need to be writing these procedures. And you as a quality person, you need to support them. So that's something that we see a lot in terms of clients thinking that quality needs to do everything for them. And when they hire us as a consultant for quality, they expect us to be writing their SOPs for them. And I tell them, we are going to leave you. You have to run the show. You need to know, you know your company better than anyone. If we go in and we do that, if we give you templates and everything, we're going to make more damage to your company than provide good results, right? But always we get that that request, do my SOPs, make them for me. And I think that's the wrong approach to do it.
But I like also what you said, like we are copying a quality management system from one place to another. This is also the mindset to say it's just documents, it's fine, we can copy them. But here you are creating the law of your company. As I'm saying, so a quality management system is like the law for how you drive your car in a city or whatever. You say at this sign you are stopping, at this place you are waiting until maybe somebody else passes before you pass, etc. But the laws that are in the US are not the same as what we have in France or what we have in maybe Mexico or wherever. The signs are different, the speed limits are different. So you cannot just say what is happening in my countries is the same in other countries. And the products that are inside then have to follow also this law. It's like the cars, you can have a BMW, Peugeot or Renault, or whatever car that you have. Then at the end, they all should be following the same rule. But the idea of saying, yeah, I copy just what I'm doing in Germany and put it in my Mexico plant makes no sense. But it's also the fact that the companies are not really understanding why we need that or how we are creating that, because it should be really a custom made for your thing. But yeah, we saw that many times also. Any other?
Thank you. Rick?
Just unmuted. You know, my wife and I were actually watching an episode yesterday on a show called Engineering Disasters on the Discovery Channel. And this probably doesn't sound like it has anything to do with this, but what happened is an underwater dredge encountered a propane pipeline. There was a massive, massive explosion, injuries, loss of life. And of course, they had to close down that entire section for a long, long time, resulting in also loss of money, which isn't as bad as loss of life, but still bad in all respects. And there were interesting comments by the journalists who were trying to interview technical people with comments like, well, we need to be aware of the explosive characteristics of propane and things like this, and stuff that I knew as a freshman in high school. But what really happened was that during the closing part of a project, as things were being put away, a draftsman was never instructed to, or never took it upon him or herself to draw the correct location of that propane pipe. It was a little thing. And I kept thinking about the lack of processes that led to that, the lack of supervision, simply not making sure that the project was correctly closed up. And it's the thing that no worker wants to do. Nobody likes to clean up the tools. Nobody likes to put away things. But it was fascinating in that in so many of these things, and we've become addicted to that show because the analysis process is so interesting, and the misanalysis is even more interesting. But everybody's aware that propane in its gaseous form is incredibly explosive. This is duh. But what they weren't aware of is that something that I used to do early in my career, I had the same kind of position, draftsman, tool designer, things like that. And it's simply, they said, we're going to put it here, but instead it got put here, and the drawings were never updated. And therefore those wrong drawings became the basis for where we're going to dig. And the huge tool crashed right into the propane, sucked it all into the rig, and again, it was a massive fireball. But quality systems, I think of quality systems as a process, and it's the supervisory structure. It's the kinds of things that we do, and nobody thinks about Well, not enough people think about those kind of things and putting a job away correctly and finishing the documentation. But it was so obvious to me because I'd been in the position of having to document jobs at the beginning, middle, and end. And everybody likes to walk away at the end when it's not exciting anymore. But getting the process, getting the supervision, getting the accountability in place, so important.
No, it's clear, and it's true that as long as there is no issue on the process, nobody cares, if I can say so. It's fine. It was working like that since 20 years. It's fine, but it's suffers of one accident, one issue that then we are making it a big deal. So mainly this is also that is really important to say. Yes, sometimes you say, yeah, it never happened, but if it happens, then as you said, there are lives of people that are endangered and everything. So it's important also for following all that.
Maren, you had something to add?
I did. I'll take myself off mute. A couple of thoughts. First of all, following on to Rick's comment, I work with startup companies that tend to see the quality management system as their product development system. And to Rick's point, the quality management system is designed to follow the product over its entire lifetime, including after release and getting it into the field and distribution and packaging. And as Jan knows, all of that, those little details are a huge part of the product. The other thing I wanted to say is that somebody introduced me to the idea that the quality management system is a safety net. The quality management system is designed or is intended to catch all those issues before the product gets released so that they don't become, a big issue. And if you look at the quality management system as the idea of a safety net, it's a very different perspective than the stuff I have to document.
Exactly. I mean, this concept of safety net is something that a lot of companies are thinking to say, oh, I'm hiring people because to save my life in case of any issues or to put in place some problems, some solutions, if I can say. And this is good because we can move to the next topic, which is maybe problems. When a problem is coming about that, so who owns the problem? So I was part of some companies, and when there was a problem, it was sent to quality. Let's give that to quality and they will solve it, or they find the issue, or they do that. So it's mainly what's happening. And I'm like, no, guys, it's not working like that. So on the same vein, so we have, when there is a problem raised, mainly the owner is mainly the one that is on the department that created the problem or that had the problem. Same also, quality is here only to support. In terms of, for example, a production department. So the issue I have with production departments a lot is the fact that they are trying to not document issues. They say, let me solve that quickly myself. No need to document because it's too much document, too much things. So then I'm creating some work, additional, but it's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. Let's fix that quickly and no need for me to look at that. So you have really to keep a traceability of all the issues that happened within a certain product. We have to take care of writing all the problem statement. And I cannot, as a quality management on the quality management department, I cannot write the problem statement when I have no clue what happened. I'm not the expert, so I'm not the one that can write, oh, it was this at that moment, at that time, because I clicked on this button or that button. I don't know. You have the one department that had the issue should describe the issue on his own words. And we have also this problem should be also sometimes explained during an audit. So when you have an auditor that is coming and asking that, me as a quality, I can try to explain by reading that, but I was not there. I'm not the one that is working on that every day. So this is also the issue to say, when there is a problem, don't send that to quality. Quality is here the same as before to support, to describe and identify with you the root cause, because we have to find why it happened, this issue, to confirm also that the action that was proposed can be answered through a root cause, what the root cause is answering, what action can answer this root cause specifically. Verify also that the problem is really solved after that, because it's not like because sometimes we put actions just to close the issue and say, okay, we now find an action and we move forward. It's more about, okay, now here we put in place an action, but did it really solve the issue? So let's wait to see some effectiveness monitoring for that. And the thing is that we are not if I can say, the one that will own the problem and should be leading to raise this issue. Because as I've said, at the end, what's happening usually is that there is a problem in production, or let's say production, but it can be on any other departments. And at the end, so let's not talk to quality. Let's try to solve that by ourselves, and then let's move it forward. And the issue is that when we discover that, then they say, oh, you should then open everything and you should do everything because you want to do that. So it's not us, we don't want to do that, etc. So there are also a lot of conflict between the departments who say, it's not my business, I'm not expert on this. You know more about that, so do it, write your paperwork, and then we do that. So mainly this is this issue that is happening where we say problems, if everything is fine, so we can work, but as soon as there is a problem, we are moving that or transferring that to quality because they are the ones that should document and solve that and this and that. The only issue is that when, for example, as I told you, you go to an audit, quality, we can try to explain something, but we are not sometimes able to really to explain everything. The thing that I'm playing, the game that I'm playing with the people that I'm working with mainly is the thing to say, when there is an issue, there is a problem, and they are describing it in a certain way, I say, can you explain that to an auditor without any problem? Can you tell to an auditor, this problem is this, and here is the solution that I'm proposing to solve the problem, and do you think they will accept that? And we are going in the next level, which is during an audit, I am not talking to the auditor when there is any problem to describe. I'm calling directly the person that is in charge or was owning this problem so that he can explain that to the auditor. And this is the best leverage I find for me, because next time we have an issue in production, I ask them, okay, you remember you have faced this auditor and you had tried to answer this question and you had tried to explain all those problems. So now we have another problem. How we are managing that? What do you think would be the best solution? Do you think this will be accepted as an argument by an auditor? And this is mainly the situation that we have with a lot of companies that says, oh, it's not my problem, it's the problem of the quality, because mainly those people are not facing auditors, are not talking to them, are not discussing or challenged by them for this or that. Because each time I saw people then that were challenged by auditors, they don't do the mistake twice. They don't redo again the mistake to say, oh, I will give that to quality, or I will try to understand, I'll try to put whatever action possible to solve this issue, because they know that they cannot sustain that in front of an auditor, and they will fail in front of an auditor, and then this will expose them also. So the idea is not to say, let's expose people and let's make them bad, but the thing is just learning to say, guys, if you are not answering correctly to that action, even me as a quality person, I cannot do that, and we will fail our audit because of that. But as they are not facing the audits, they are not facing the challenges, they don't feel that pain, and they don't feel that, if I can say, they are not suffering for that. So showing them how it's working, showing them through training, or even by starting to go through an internal audit, maybe just during internal audits to ask them to answer a question of the internal auditor can be a good first exercise before maybe they move to a real auditor or an inspector like within the FDA. But did you have this kind of situation also?
¿Qué grupo es? ¿Tres?
Nelly? Unmute?
I'm sorry, there you go. I think this is an awesome way that you've laid this out. I can tell you from experience, you're probably speaking to the choir right now. We've all probably said the exact same thing in one way or another. I actually have one client, not gonna lie to you, the parent company hired me to improve the quality management system, and the general manager looks at me and goes, why do I need more than one quality person? I'm here to sell things, not do quality. That was literally his response. And we were doing management review, and the director from the parent company says, oh, we need all these people. And he goes, well, why can't it just be the three of us? It doesn't matter. They don't need to know about quality. And so it's been a real education process, and it's like taking me almost 10 months to get there.
No, I completely agree, and it's exactly what we are all experiencing. So it's the problem is that when you have, and this is my problem also, when the head of the company is not with you, you will suffer. To be honest, you will suffer, because whatever you are proposing or whatever you are doing, as they are not, if I can say, helping you, they are not sustaining you on your decisions, nobody will follow you, because the boss is not following what you are saying, so why should I follow what you are saying? So this is also the big issue that we have in some companies, where quality is not really their first priority sometimes.
So Monir, since you live close to Germany, I'm sure you're familiar with this phrase, But one of my first, when I got up, I'm using the term loosely, a promotion, because they promoted me into a shit show. And
Language.
yeah. So it was like I got this promotion, and 4 months later had to manage a full ISO recertification audit for a company that was a train wreck of a quality system, and the owner was certifiably insane. And the auditor was from Germany, and he had known the owner from previous audits. And at one point, it was so bad, I put my head down on the table and just shook my head. And he patted my back and he says, "Michelle, the fish stinks from the head."
Exactly. This is what we say in Germany. True.
There's only so much you can do when if the fish stinks from the head, the whole fish stinks.
Exactly. Now it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
Maren, you had something?
Yeah, totally agree with Michelle. I think it's such an incorrect interpretation. We talk about quality management system and then say, oh, that's quality responsibility. But if you look at quality management system, all the roles find across the company, it's a system, it's how things are designed to work together. And not if you're talking about an issue or you're talking about product development, or you're talking about manufacturing, it impacts every area of the company. I did a training on the product development process, and I asked people in the room, I said, kind of like your quality question, I said, so who's responsible for product development? And everybody in R&D raised their hands. So let me ask the question a different way. When the company introduces a new product, who in this room is impacted? And everybody raised their hands. And that kind of difference that you need to get through to your management team is quality has a role, but the company is an integrated whole, and everybody needs to evolve. So you can't have quality solve an issue or manufacturing because it's probably got threads in multiple parts of the company.
No, it's clear. It's exactly that. And everybody is inside the boat, if I can say. And this boat is, let's make it quality boat, but normally everybody should be inside. And this is the problem actually, is that we think like there is many boats and there is one that is quality that is trying to push everyone in a direction, but this goes in many other places. So Alyssa?
Yes, thank you so much. I think that this is fantastic. And I think that one thing as a founder that I found so beneficial about this group is, I use this word lightly, the incessant push to understand how important quality management is. And so I come in as a founder going, yes, I've run the commercialization and the marketing side and sales side before. And I found a lot of people, and I've seen it where a lot of people just put their sunglasses on and let quality management run the show, run their own show. But learning from this perspective, it gives me insight to where I'm there to learn whenever QMS comes in to play. I like literally had a meeting for an hour last night with my engineer, and he reviewed what the forms were and everything like that. So I think it's really important, particularly I think that on a quarterly basis, Joe, I put this on, I extend this out to you. Potentially, it would be good to have the top 10 things that founders fail at meeting on a quarterly basis, where individual departments that would typically be in a company come in and give a 10-minute spiel on these are the biggest failures that founders make. For example, in marketing, not having your document control process in place, not having what you need for a 510K submission, what you can and cannot say, these kind of things, because as having started this journey 3 years ago, it would have really helped.
I would love that. Are you able to give that talk?
I can give it 10 minutes from the marketing. You should be able to, and the sales side, or marketing, sales, distribution, commercialization, I could do that side. But if we have like QMS, marketing,
I like it. Let's plan on the first Friday in February. All of January is booked.
Okay.
Great.
And let's
Thank you for
not
that.
forget packaging, because
And
I
not forget
cannot
packaging.
believe what I
Absolutely.
find sometimes.
We'll
That's a big
definitely
one.
have you speak on the first Friday of February, Jan.
That's a great one, Jan. You're so right.
And so just to continue a bit on that, I wanted also maybe to show to you, because we hear a lot of, I don't know how we say it in, if you say it a lot in the US, but mainly we say it a lot here, that quality is not a profit center, it's a cost center, means that mainly you are spending money in quality and not getting any money from it. So it's
That
more like
makes me absolutely crazy. Monir.
So let's give you an example.
That's
You
not
should-
the case though. Yeah.
It should be built into the cost of the product.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, and it never is, not one time have I seen it be built in, but you have to have inspectors on the line. You have to have final release. You have to have somebody to look at the paperwork, all these things that directly touch the product, and they don't put those costs into the product. So quality is the first thing that they try to cut.
Exactly. And they say, yeah, because quality, we have too much quality people, so it's why we have, it's not working or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And coming from a startup perspective, if I know that if I want to make money, I have to have this in place, period. And that's all people need to know. You want to make money, you have to have quality, and you have to have regulatory people. Yeah, these are the things you have to have. And you can find out ways to negotiate. If you have no budget, you can find ways to negotiate with them by giving slicing the pie type of equity split, where just because if they're working a short time span, you can put their hours into the pie. But it is very short-sighted for any company to start without a QMS system in place, even if it's small, and without a regulatory person in place.
And we can say also that if everybody owns quality, there is no need to hire 10,000 people on quality or on control or inspection or whatever. If at each side of the line we have really a person that is really owning quality and knows really what they have to do and do it correctly, and not saying, oh, anyway, it would be fine by another person, so no need for me to look at that. Or it's Friday, we have to go, so this thing I will not care, as we said maybe about the project, about the accident that was talked about. So mainly, if everybody owns quality, the cost of quality will be reduced, because mainly at the end, you don't need to hire too many people for managing that. Just one example, for example. The example is this one. You receive some complaints about products. So mainly you have some complaints, you start to have the complaints, and your customer service receives the information, and you start to have too much of the complaints. So you make an investigation on those, and at the end you decide, you say, okay, we have to make a recall for it. So which means that you have to go and ask all your customers to send everything back to your warehouse, and then you are spending money on this. It's a bad image for your company, it's not working well, etc. So this is the first thing. Let's say that now you have done, it happens even with people companies that have quality departments that have everything, accidents like that happen. So it's not like to blame anyone. Now, if you had made maybe correctly all the traceability of your product, here is what will have happened. First, you have you manufacture multiple lots of products all along the year. So we have lot number 1, lot number 2, lot number 3, and you are inspecting all the lots documentation, because you create documents for each of the products one by one. So you inspect all the lot, and you identify that there was an issue with 3 products that were specifically on this lot number 2, for example. Imagine now that you have not made the traceability. You have not, for example, said that 3 of those products were reworked. One of them is there, but 3 of those products were reworked, and we received a non-conformity or complaints for 3 products. So then you are making your containment, your bounding, your everything, and you check and you find, oh, this is only apparently coming from this lot number 2. So then you go and you recall only lot number 2. You are not recalling lot number 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean, all the lot that you have manufactured. And this is the kind of magic of traceability of documentation, because mainly at the end, you have some proofs that you can show to the authorities to say, hey, I have an issue about this, and I know that I have reworked, because I have the documentation that shows that I have reworked those 3 products here. And I suspect that this issue came from this rework because of that. And then you have a good justification to say, okay, or you can say, I have already a complaint for 3 products, so I suppose it's only those 3, so there is no need to recall anything anymore. Or you say, no, I will just recall lot number 2, because I suspect the issue happened only with this lot number 2, not lot number 1, not lot number 3. Now imagine those companies or production people that says, no, I will not record any issues. I will just try to make some fixes, some rework from my side. I will make some fixes and I will then send the products. It will save my time. I will not have to create a kappa. I will not have to do all those. And then a few months later, you get those complaints. You have to make a recall. And then when they ask you how many products you have to recall, you have no idea, because you have no understanding why this issue happened, why this is happening. So then you have to make a big bounding and recall more products and then lose more money. So it's more about those small things that we are doing that can maybe save also the company of paying too much for any issue that can happen. An issue can happen. It's not like something that is exceptional for anyone. So did you have this kind of also discussion maybe with your companies about how, I mean, did you have to make some recall, and do you have also some discussion about containments and how to investigate on these containments and everything?
I think I understand what you're saying. I've had problems with packaging where they don't actually trace the lot going into lots of material. So you have to recall a whole bunch of stuff because they didn't trace what they were using in the first place. And they thought it was too much money to put the systems in place that allowed that to happen. And that was really a mess.
And it costs more than the system, I suppose, maybe.
Yes.
So
and it hurts the reputation of the company.
Exactly.
When you have to recall something like that.
Exactly. I mean, you have maybe not the headlines on the journals, but unless you have maybe made some big mistake. But mainly, yeah, customers will not really like that, and maybe they will, as they are not confident anymore on your products, they will maybe switch to another products while you are. And maybe never come back to you. So it's mainly the thing that can happen here.
David, you have something to add?
Yeah, great discussion group, and Monir, great point. And one of the processes you need to do when you discover the problem is look to see what's the scope of the problem. And as you begin that piece of your investigation, you become aware of the number of products that can be involved in this potential recall situation versus just highlighting, this one thing that happened that you found in isolation of, could have happened other times, other places along that line, that kind of thing, or another line that's going on in the company manufacturing line. So I think that's related to what you're trying to say here is you definitely, well, the end goal is to try to figure out how many products are affected or could have been affected.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I've seen where they haven't pulled in the right SMEs to discuss the problem. So they don't actually solve what was going on because they don't have the right experts in there looking at it.
Exactly. I mean, having, as we said, quality is not the expert. So we are not here to explain the issues or things because we are not the one that are using that. But the experts which are in production, R&D or whatever, they have then to find the right argumentation, justification, explanation. Otherwise, the authorities will not accept that and will ask you to recall maybe even more than what you have decided to recall because they have no argumentation. And I had a case like that recently with a company that had to recall more because they had not made the right bounding for their production.
Aaron?
I think this is a great example, and it reminds me, and Rains has heard me talk about this, a lot of times I hear quality is taken away from the table in discussions about whether a product is done or not because they tend to answer in terms of yes or no, this can't be done. When I'm working with a company and they say, well, can we do this? My answer is always yes. And then I try to follow up with, and here's what the risks are of doing this. Mm-hmm. So in a situation like this, it's like, okay, well, we're not gonna trace this because it's too expensive. Okay, let's do that. But we should also understand what the risks are if we're choosing not to do that. So what I see, to your point, is that quality often sort of gets siloed off into a separate little thing. And part of the issue is how do you get yourselves back into the conversation? And I think talking about business risks, not presenting yourself as, this is the regulatory side or whatever, but talking about here's the business risks, here's how it can cost you, here's the potential impact not only on cost, but on your reputation, on delivery to other customers and things like that, sometimes helps you get to the right solution, even if it's not because it's the quality thing to do, it's also the right business thing to do. And I find sometimes people don't understand that those align a lot more than they would think on first review.
No, and you are completely right. And I also learned that while talking with management, with vice presidents, CEOs of companies, is the fact that if you are not converting all this in dollars, or if you are not converting all this in reputation or this and that, they are not, it's not their vocabulary. What we are talking about is not really their vocabulary. They don't understand. But as soon as you say this can cost you millions, or this can cost you this or that, then they start to listen, and maybe they start to say, okay, what can we do? What should we do? And sometimes they take the risk. But as you've said, we are not saying, no, it's not forbidden for you to do that. And say, you can do it, but here is the risk. Here is what can happen to you. Are you ready to take this risk or not? I mean, this is your choice. You are the CEO of the company. It's not me. So at the end, you are taking this risk or not. But what we hope is that it's a risk, but it's not like a crazy risk. So we have just to hope about that here.
Yeah, I know quality gets called a cost center or whatever.
Exactly.
But to be honest, in a company, there are very few departments that actually generate income.
Yeah, it's all
right?
together. All together, you are generating
sales and manufacturing and maybe service. But finance is a cost sink. R&D is a cost sink. But they have a justification for how they save the company money, or there's other functions besides just generating revenue. And defining the quality department in terms of the cost savings, the risk mitigation, all of that is, I think, a different perspective, and again, helps bring quality into the discussions at the table.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Luke?
Okay, hi Monir, good to see you again.
Hey.
I've seen a lot of companies that had a good sound quality management system and still manage to make crappy products. So it's not, it's not a guarantee that you make quality products. And quality is not simple. It's like engineering is not simple. Quality is not simple. So you have an engineering department and a quality department. I think it's important that you educate each other. Like there's a problem in engineering, you want to solve it, and it's nice to have a quality guy at hand who says, if you want to solve it the right way with good quality, you have to do it this way, or else you end up with problems afterwards, and vice versa.
It's a discussion, as you said, it's really a discussion between the departments. It's a communication. It's not one has the truth and the other is wrong. It's more about let's find a compromise and let's go in the direction that it's satisfying everyone also.
Now I'm a little part of a bigger company, and they have a quality department of about 30 persons or something like that. So what tends to happen is that you have an engineering and there's a project, and they say, okay, these are the applicable standards and applicable laws, and we go to these countries and they have a nice document for it. So the engineer starts engineering. When he's finished, he throws it over the wall to the quality department, saying, have I done it right? And then the quality partner says, have you thought about this and this and this and this?
Exactly.
And the quality department cannot check whether it's implemented right or not. And the engineering department, because they speak a slightly different language, they say, yes, we have implemented it. And in the end, you have something that's not really good. I've seen a lot of products that are not single fault condition safe because they said, yeah, we added an extra safety measure in it, but you cannot check whether it functions or not. So if you cannot see if a safety measure is working, you have to assume it's failing. And it happens a lot. And it's only because it seems like the two departments speak a different language and they don't know how to communicate. So whenever there's a problem, as you say it, it's not the quality department that has the problem, but they're part of the problem because they have to communicate it well enough to the department that has the problem. And they have to educate that department how to solve it in the right way.
And I completely agree with you. And it's why I will not say that quality is perfect also. We have different people, it's human people. We have some quality style that are more in the sense that you have to, it's like the police. They are coming like the police and trying to say it's forbidden to do this. I will, no, it's you have to do that. I mean, they are giving orders. And you have some other quality departments that are more here to help. They are not here to block, they are here to help. It's like an enzyme in your company to help you to go to the market as quick as possible. We are not here to stop you. We are here to help you to do it right for the first time, etc. So you can have both sides, and yeah, sometimes this creates also some problems because the problem is that if I'm an engineering department and I know that the quality department is too restrictive, is not communicating too much, etc. Myself, I will maybe try to say, okay, I don't want to talk to them. I prefer to do things my way, etc., because it's not common. It's not, the common sense is not there, if I can say, from their side. So I completely understand that. It's just that sometimes you have people that are starting to be educated on what is the quality department, that are outside of the quality department and try to be educated, and they have a bad experience with maybe a first quality department or a second quality department with the company. And when they arrive to another company with maybe a good quality department, they are still a bit suspicious and say, should I talk to them? Should I understand what they are saying, or should I follow what they are saying? But yeah, we are humans, so we are not like all perfect.
And there's another thing I want to point out. It is one of the I think the most important things of quality management is change management. That how you implement change, record.
I will just talk about that just after.
Okay.
There's
a meta level to that. I mean, the quality departments are evolving, and also they have to follow changing laws and that kind of stuff. So every now and then they think, well, the way we did risk management or process FMEA or whatever was a little bit, we can do it better. Yeah. So they write new procedures for how to do a correct risk management, but then they forget that they can change. But if you have a company that makes a product for years and years and years, and it also evolves, then you also have a legacy of old documentation that was set up in the old way. Yeah. And it's very hard to transfer that old documentation to the newest way of working. So what happens is that you do a gap analysis when there's a new standard out, you do a gap analysis when there's a new law out, but you never do a gap analysis from your old documentation to your new way of working. And what happens then after a while, those gaps in way of working, they tend to bring a lot of problems.
No, it's clear. It's completely clear, and I completely agree with what you are saying. But it's good to have also the feedback from other departments on this kind of situation.
Monir, since we're almost at the top of the hour, I'm going to lower hands, and it seems you have another concept to share with us today, at least one or more.
Yeah, let's make a last one maybe. I have two, but let's make a last one. This one, which metrics to show? So also, which is something that we also see a lot with some companies. So the metrics is mainly how your company is working or how you are expecting to see things. So we have some companies that are in that way. Let's say satisfactory survey, we have 100% and 100% result. Number of nails on stock that we need more than 10 units. We have 120,000 units. So the objective of those metrics, I call them like cosmetic metrics that says we show that we look nice, we are not tackling any real problems or whatever. But if you are really digging inside the company, if you make real due diligence and check everything, you find that, for example, the complaint answer is normally 20 days, but now it's 110 days. The NC that should be open more than 30 days, normally there should be 0, but there is like 53 that existing. Or the people that are not trained or that late in training, there should be 0, but there are 120 people on the company. So this effect that we have here, we call that the watermelon effect, which is mainly from the outside. We see that everything is green, everything is fine, everything is okay, because the company has chosen to show the metrics that show that they are really nice. But when you dig inside the company, you find that everything is red. So it's not working. The things are not good. But the objective, as I said, there is something we have to show to the external, to the exterior, that we are good, everything is okay, etc. So this is mainly the issue. And the companies, they should forget what is happening in the outside, and they should really try to tackle the problems that they have. So they have to put, if I can say, the metrics or the indicators or the elements to check at the right place so that they are really able to work on that. So have you ever seen this kind of watermelon effect?
Let me have that be a rhetorical question, and I would like to see what your last slide is, Monir.
Sorry?
I said I'd like your question to be rhetorical in nature, and I would like to see what the other metric page you prepared is.
So the other thing is just to say also, in the other side, we should avoid also to have too much metrics that we try to save the company from a lot of things. We have really to focus on the most important things, we have the 80-20, so the Pareto tool, for example, to say, let's first focus on those issues, and maybe next year we'll focus on the other ones, and next year on the other ones, etc. So this is mainly the point. And the last
Number
point I wanted
23 is flashing on my dashboard.
Sorry?
Number 23 is flashing on my dashboard.
Right.
Okay, exactly. And just the last thing, so I wanted just to come back to what Luc has said on the change without information. So mainly the problem that we have is that we have a lot of companies that are making some changes to their process or to their products or whatever, but they are not following a certain step. So they make a change that is needed, they do the change that is needed, and then they inform quality and regulatory affairs to say, oh, we have made this change, or we have decided to make this change. And this creates a lot of issues, because then, as Luc said, so quality and regulatory affairs, they come back and they say, but you cannot do that. And if you do that, there is a lot of issues. And if you have already done it, then we have to stop production because it's not possible. We have to re-register the product, etc., etc. So the idea is more to say quality and regulatory affairs people should also be involved at the beginning of the process. And also it's like a journey altogether. It's not like just one person or two person that are really taking care of everything. So this was my last slide.
Thank you for that. Now I know that there were some comments if you guys want to do that, but before we do that, Monir, it's clear to me, but perhaps not to everybody. Who is your ideal customer? When you're great at educating, who is engaging you, and what kinds of services are you typically providing for folks?
So mainly any medical device manufacturer that is trying to place devices on the market, to register their device on the market. Principally, actually, and we are working a lot in the European Union. So mainly quality and regulatory affairs. So performing some internal audits for companies, creating the technical documentation, registering the products in the different countries, contacting notified bodies also, which is something that we are starting to do a lot now. Anything that is quality and regulatory affairs, I'm taking care of that. We are taking care of that. We are also authorized representative in Europe. So Europe means UK, Switzerland, and the European Union. So we have 3 offices. So the objective is really to represent any foreign company in the European Union, to help them to be registered as quick as possible, and then to help them in case there is any issue on the market also. So mainly anything that is quality and regulatory affairs, we are taking care of that within the European Union.
Thank you. And I don't know how often you come to the States, but if you do have 2023 travel plans, see if you can make them around April. So you might swing by San Diego.
Okay, April, I'll try to see.
That'd be great to include you live.
No problem.
Nellie, I lowered your hand before. You wanted to add something?
Along the way, one of the things I've thought about, and it's one of the things I try to do with most of my clients, is we as quality have to be good salespeople and be big business partners, because one of the biggest complaints I get from my clients is, oh, I'm used to this quality guy who always says no, and then I'm stopped and I can't go anywhere. And so we have to sell ourselves as being part of the business and being invested in the business, not a police person. So that's how I get on the senior management teams, I get on the design development teams, and I never say no without 3 options that they can navigate to go forward. And so that's really, as my encouragement with this team is to remember that while we want them to acknowledge this, we have to sell ourselves as well. So we have to become salespeople of quality, making it value add.
Good point. I appreciate that. It's the top of the hour. This was going to be our last call this calendar year. Thank you for another year of great programs. We're up to, 155 or so episodes. We have the next 5 are booked. Rob Packard is going to kick us off January 6th. Alyssa's friend George is going to be our guest on the 13th. He's going to be talking about his technology. Rick, I think you're up on the 20th. Karen Deep is on the 27th. And Alyssa and company are going to help us with the top 10 founder fails the first week of February.
Let's tentatively put that on the books. I might be going to India, so.
Of course, we'll talk. Many of you, like me, are entrepreneurs, which means, yes, we're on holiday, but we're going to be working anyhow. So if there's anything I or my friends can do to help you close the year, if you're planning on coming to 10X and you want to tuck that expense into your 2022 versus your 2023, reach out and we'll figure something out. And if there's nothing else, happy holidays, happy new year, and let's have a profitable 2023. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy winter
Happy
solstice.
holidays, everybody.
Happy New Year.